Knowledge is power to those who may seek, wisdom and glory and a path to the peak. In the knowledge of history you can learn and see who you are and who you could be. Though I have passed, my stories won't die, for you to gain wisdom, so who am I? I was born in the year 1137 AD in a city called Tikrit in modern-day Iraq, to a Kurdish family with Arabic origins. My father, Najmuddin Ayyub, was a ruler on the Tikrit fort, while my mother, Fatima, was the daughter of a nobleman from northern Iraq. I was the youngest of 5 sons, and I grew up in a household that valued education, religion, and military training. We moved to Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon, where my father was appointed as governor, and where we lived for 7 years. Then in my youth years, we moved again to Damascus, where the just king, Imaduddin Zinki, was the sultan of the Zenkin dynasty, and who my father was an advisor for. From a young age, I was interested in martial arts and warfare, and I received training in these fields from my father. He taught me how to ride a horse, shoot a bow and arrow, and wield a sword with precision and skill. He also instilled in me the love for Islam and a sense of duty to defend my fellow Muslims from harm. In the later years, my father, Najmuddin Ayyub, and his brother, Asaduddin Shirkuh, became the closest allies and supporters to the just king, Nuruddin, and his father before, Imaduddin. When I was 14 years old, I joined the army of my uncle Shirkuh, who was a great army general at the time. My uncle recognized my potential as a warrior and began to train me in the ways of war, teaching me the tactics and strategies that had made him successful on the battlefield. Over the next few years, I fought in several battles alongside my uncle, gaining experience and honing my skills as a commander. I learned the importance of discipline, courage, and unity in battle, and I saw firsthand the devastating effects of war on both soldiers and civilians. During my time in Egypt, I quickly became disillusioned with the Fatimids' corrupt and ineffective rule. I saw the damage they were causing to the Muslim world, and I knew that something needed to be done. I was always looking for an opportunity to return Egypt back under the Abbasid Caliphate. This opportunity presented itself when the false Caliph Al-Adid died and his young son was the successor. At that time, I was the Grand Vizier, succeeding my uncle Shirkuh, who had passed away a couple of years ago. So as a Grand Vizier, and due to the young age of the new Caliph, I had full authority to control Egypt and its forces. So first, I began spreading awareness about the correct Islamic ideology and refute the falsehood that was infested in the people. I converted Al-Azhar Mosque from a center of Shia propaganda to a beacon of knowledge spreading the correct teachings of Islam and love for the Prophet's companions. Then in the year 1171, I ordered the recognition of the Abbasid Caliphate as the only true caliphate during the Friday prayer sermons across the state. It was indeed a day of rejoice and celebration. In the year 1174, Sultan Nuruddin Zinki sadly passed away, and his son became his successor. But his son was only 11 years old. He was not able to fulfill the duties of a sultan, so I took this opportunity and I announced severance from the Zinki dynasty and established the Ayyubid dynasty, with Cairo as its capital. I then marched towards the Levant region, taking most of it under my rule, and after many victories against the Zinki forces, I was able to reach an agreement with them, leaving them as governors in their cities in the Levant, but ultimately pledging allegiance to me. By then, I had Egypt and most of the Levant region under my rule. I sealed my power with the recognition of the Abbasid Caliph of my sultanate. After securing my rule over Egypt and the Levant, I was ready to achieve my ultimate goal, liberating Jerusalem, which had been under the Crusader rule for almost a century. I knew that this would be a difficult task, but I was determined to succeed. In the year 1187, I launched a surprise attack on the Crusader army at Hittin, and we emerged victorious. This battle was a turning point in the Crusades, and it paved the way for our eventual liberation of Jerusalem. I approached the city with a sense of humility and respect for its significance to both Muslims and Christians. I ensured that the inhabitants of the city were treated fairly and with respect, and I allowed Christians to continue practicing their religion freely. My victory in Jerusalem was a great triumph for the Muslim world, and it established me as a powerful and respected leader. I continued to fight for the cause of Islam, and I devoted the rest of my life to serving my people and spreading the teachings of the Quran. In the year 1193, I fell ill with yellow fever and suffered from insomnia. I barely slept at night. The illness worsened and doctors lost hope of my recovery. I passed away the next day, and I was buried in Al-Aziziyya school near the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, next to King Nur ad-Din Zinki. When my personal treasury was opened, it was found that there was not enough money for my funeral. Only a few dirhams and 1 gold dinar were found in it. I did not leave behind any property or personal possessions, as I had spent most of my wealth in charitable donations and for the cause of Muslims. Who am I?